Hey, good morning. Tom here, Flip Anything USA. So today I want to talk about it's a good time to be a picky real estate investor. It'll serve you well. You know, I'm thinking about around 2009, not long after 2009. I was actually caught with holding a lot of real estate in 2009. But you know, you do the best you can, patch things up, make sure you got everything rented, get your money flowing best you can. Maybe hold off on some improvements to hang on to your cash if you're concerned about, you know, tenants possibly going out of business, that sort of thing. But right now, I'm telling you, the power, you've got all the power. You know, it's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market. Well, it's been a seller's market for a long time, and that's why the value's been so high and the cap rate's been so low, but it's starting to change, and I like being on both sides of it. I love, you know, I've sold my houses, a bunch of houses that I intended to sell. I put them off a little bit when I could see the market improving, when it was getting scarce with the pandemic, and I probably picked up another 150 on the last, you know, 4 or 5 houses that I sold. So there's a time to sell, there's a time to hang on, and there's a time to sell. And if you need to dump your stuff, it's a good time to sell no matter what. It's just better to get rid of it if you know, like I say, you can't get hurt taking a profit. It's something I tell my students all the time. But particularly right now, you can see it. I mean, the interest rates are going up. We're starting to see people back out of deals. This is the beginning of what you can call it, I guess you can call it a bearish market, right? I'm not a stock person. My stock is on my shelves, or it's my real estate is my stock. But you can see it. You can see the tides turned, and people are starting to worry. Agents are starting to worry, getting a lot more solicitations by agents too. So obviously they're starting to feel frustrated. They're having their deals fall out. But you know, this is kind of where it begins to turn, and you know, ideally, you know, hopefully you're in a position where you can, I don't like to say wait necessarily, but just be really picky. Oh, I just got a notification. I got to take my car to get new tires. It's a good time to just observe. You know, we are definitely hitting a plateau in most markets, and starting to go down in others. We're seeing them, you know, the property lower. We don't know what you know, if the Fed's going to lower or raise the rates again. They're probably going to. That'll happen pretty soon. That'll further take the wind out of the sails of those sellers that, in my opinion, have been way too proud of their property. You know, when I say people are too proud of their property, when they're selling something at a 4 cap or a 4.5 cap or a 5 cap, or, you know, whatever, anything under a 6 cap, to me is silly. And now it's even a 7 cap doesn't even really make much sense today. You know, if you're an investor like me, you like to borrow money, you like to make money on the bank's money, you like to do what the bank does, make money on other people's money. And so, just watching what I've seen, I just dropped out of a deal. I was in one that I was buying, and the seller was taking way too long to make up his mind. He was, you know, got an attorney involved, and after 3 weeks, I'm exhausted. It's like, you know what, I don't need this, and so I let it go. And funny enough, I ran into the real estate agent on the street, someone I didn't really know, but I ran into him when I went to a Tom Segura comedy, and ran into this guy on the street a little later. But what I was going to say primarily is, man, take care of what you got. You know, if you're like me and you have quite a bit of real estate, it's a really good time to renew your leases, take care of your tenants, make sure they're happy. You know, take care of your property, clean it up. You know, just really go the extra mile. You know, this week also, it's pretty shitty. I had somebody break in. I don't even know if they broke in. We really didn't see signs of a break-in, but I have a restroom that is only accessible by certain people, and somebody got in there, and it looked like they took a pry bar and just punched holes through the bottom of the toilet, just busted the shit out of a new ceramic toilet. So that should be replaced this morning, and that's property damage is a real thing. That's one of the things. I always look at crime statistics if I'm going to go look into a new area to buy, and a lot of times you'll see it's not just murder and robbery and burglary. You'll see property damage. Property damage is something you got to look out for too. That can be quite high. And it's not always kids. I mean, sometimes it's kids. Graffiti counts in there. Just general vandalism. But that vandalism can cost you so much. And I'll tell you, these new Ring cameras. I should have a link and make money on the things. But I use the hell out of them. I have them everywhere, and I'm going to add them more places. I'm going to add one. I'm looking at this exterior bathroom door, letting people know they're being watched. And even in the late night, you can even let them know, by emotional voice activate, and let them know, hey, you're being recorded. And and if I see somebody, on the tape the next day walking in with a pry bar or something heavy enough to beat the shit out of a toilet, we'll have narrowed down my suspects, I think. So, but back to the main topic: be a picky real estate investor right now. It'll serve you well, because. They're weak. They're weak. In fact, if you're going to make an offer, offer another 25% less than you normally would. Hey, it's just kind of like any hunt, right? You can start to smell blood, and that's how it is right now. You can start to smell the blood. People are realizing, do I want to get stuck in another downturn for 10 years? Believe me, back in 2009, after I got I bandaged up what I could on that, but a few years later, as it started to recover, I thought, you know what, I don't want to go through another 10-year lull. So I started getting rid of a lot of my land and other assets that didn't really bring in much income. I had some land that still brought in income, but nothing like it would if it had a building. I'm talking, millions of dollars of land. And so I started getting rid of my vacant land, and I still 1031 them. But what I did is I rolled those assets into more income producing assets. And the land, of course, did come back, came back and went up quite a bit, but so did all the buildings and things that I bought. So it's, Robert, buy and sell. Yeah. There is a time to sell, Listen, it feels good to own real estate, but let me tell you, it'll give you indigestion. If you got a lot of it and it's sitting empty and people are having trouble, or land, I've had a lot of land where people, started to, when we came into times like this, they stopped paying on the note. They stopped paying on their land. They go, we need a place to live, take care of the kids, that sort of thing. And it's always good to flip. Listen, it's always good to flip. You can always flip anything, but when you go to flip a property, you just make damn sure it's worth more than you're paying for it. And of course you can do, you can transfer your position to somebody else and take a finder's fee. That's something I've done a lot of too. That's how I started, because in the beginning I couldn't close certain deals. I didn't have the money to close deals. So what I would do is I would line up a perfect property to buy that was a great deal, and then I would just hand it over to somebody else, and take a transfer fee, basically just an assumption fee. And it's always a good time to do an assumption fee. If you can tie things up and not have too much money at stake, that can be a pretty safe way to go. Be really picky, never stop investing. I never stop investing, but you can bet that when my optimism about the market starts to wane, like it is now, then I'm going to be more careful, and you should too. When you have a gut feeling about something, whether it's good or bad, if you're an experienced person, you got to listen to that, because to me, intuition is really just like the database that's within you saying, hey, we got a red flag here. It's already done all the calculations for you. It's not going to spit it out to you in the most articulate way that you're going to immediately be able to identify what's bothering you. But your mind is working on kind of like everything and making this conclusion saying, hey, caution, you know, it could be, don't get into that elevator with those thugs. Or it could be, you know, this may not be the best time to, you know, mortgage the home and buy what you're thinking about buying. Those sorts of things. Because there's really, I've been a good investor really most of my life, 40-something years now, and I've made a lot of money. And but it's because I've done the things that I expressed to you right now. I do move cautiously, and but I move quickly. When something's a deal, you got to grab it. You got to snag it, tie it up, sign it. That's one of the most important things. But you know, times change. If you've never seen real estate go down 50% like I have, let me just tell you, it happens. It can be much, much worse. Those things do happen, and just because you haven't seen it, you know, all that means is that you probably haven't been investing for 30 years. Okay, because if you've been investing for 30 years, you would have seen it, or 35 years, for sure you would have seen it in parts of the country. Liam wrote, hey Tom, I was just in a deal that was on the skinny side, and I had a chance to get out, so I did. Cut and run. Yep. So, yeah, Liam's expressing, also Liam's in the course, the class, and he's expressing, and this is, and he's really, it's perfect, Liam, because what Liam did is, he said he got in a deal, and it started to feel a little too skinny. In other words, you know, this is one of the reasons you can always buy and get back out, is if you buy and there's enough margin that you can make a chunk of money, and you see that margin getting smaller, you know, there is still room for you to get in and get out, and maybe that margin, you know, went from here to here, but you still got out and made some money. But it becomes a little bit more speculative when you do that, because you're gambling that you're going to get out before, you know, that those lines meet to where you're at, what you have in it, and what you and what you can sell it for. So good for you, Liam. But yeah, and that's exactly what I just did, Liam. You know, the thing I was in, you know, I entered it 3 weeks ago. Market's gotten tougher, interest rates going up. In this case, the seller wasted too much time. The agents wasted too much time, to be quite honest. Agents, one's probably blew it more than anything. But now I walked. I got no interest in it unless it goes down a lot more. But in all honesty, right now I'm more concentrating on power washing curbs and gutters, making sure all the PVC on the roof is taken away, the condensation lines, blowing out the condensation lines on the hundreds of ACs that I own, and making sure everything's running in tip-top shape. That's another thing you can do. You know, air conditioners, you got to take care of them. The condenser on the outside of your building, or it could be on the roof, it could be on the outside of, on the ground. You know, those things get crapped up, loaded with leaves and things. It's a good time, not necessarily a good time to do it in the summer, but if you see those things filling up with leaves and dirt and stuff, it's a good time to, shut all the power down. Have somebody do it for you if you don't know what you're doing. But I always have my AC guys, it helps them too in the winter when they slow down. Take those things apart, clean them, just take all the crap out of them, blow them out, make them work super efficiently, and just take care of the customers that you got. That's a big mistake that can happen, and I've done it too. I've neglected my current business at a greed to go after more, and you don't want to do that. Because it'll catch up with you. You're sitting there chasing money, on these other deals you're trying to wrap up and tie up, and then all of a sudden you lose a peach of a customer that you already had because you weren't keeping an eye on keeping them happy, or maybe their lease was coming up, and you let it go too long. They were sitting there month to month with no penalty, and or no renewal option that you didn't give them, and then they found another opportunity either to buy and or to possibly lease somewhere cheaper. Now I'm not too worried about that with my tenants, because I keep, that's one of my strategies. I keep rents under market always. I always keep my rents under market, especially going into what could be tough times. I still keep my rents 20% under market, just in case the market, the rental market gets soft by another 20-30%. I don't want it to be worth the tenant's time to move, and or I want them to survive. I just want them to survive. Hey, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you like what you hear. I've been doing this a long time. I love to share, but anybody got any feedback, input, anybody want to argue the merits of anything I say, I'm always happy to play devil's advocate with anyone. It's a wonderful thing playing devil's advocate when people have opposing views, because somebody will bring something to the table the other person never thought of. So let's see. Oh, I got a couple questions here. What do you think about virtual wholesaling? Listen, I bought properties without ever going inside them, and I bought land that I've never seen before. But when you say virtual wholesaling, you're talking about just selling purely without ever seeing? I mean, at some point, you're going to rely on trusting somebody that knows the area. And so, hey, I'm not a fan. I'm really not a fan. You can buy property, and believe me, I used to have land companies that would buy property. They would just buy hundreds of parcels a year, and they would sell them to people that would buy from them sight unseen over in the Philippines and Hawaii. They're pretty much taking advantage of people, is what I've pretty much figured out. But prior to realizing that, I did sell them quite a bit of land. And so people do it, and people get taken. People that buy without really looking and investigating hard, they get screwed. I've had ridiculous situations been brought to me. Someone said, hey, I bought 26 lots, and I now want to get rid of them. And I'm like, well, why are you calling me? I'm about buying and selling, not just selling. And you shouldn't need help selling. I mean, so people say, yeah, I've been buying these lots, in Florida or wherever, these little piece of crap, $2,000 lots, and they trusted the person selling it to them. And I'm saying, well, why don't you go to the person that sold it to you? Because they sold it to you, but that's what they do, is they sell this crap, and then sell the hopes and dreams that you're going to make more money on what you're buying. I mean, that's kind of the trap, right? We all are buying property, with the idea that we're going to, make a mint on it, or sell it for more at a minimum. And there's people that specialize in selling garbage, and there's people that, the masses are the asses, and the asses buy that shit up. You can never trust anybody that stands to make a profit on you. You can never trust anybody that stands to make a profit on you. I say that twice because I don't want you to forget it. You can't necessarily trust an agent. They're always going to see the optimism. They're going to be very optimistic in your purchase because they get a nice commission from it. Person selling it to you, same thing. Oh yeah, you can do this, you can do that. Now, it's not 100% exclusive. I remember a guy, old man, bouncing up and down on a little trampoline in his apartment and telling me I should buy this property from him. He said, I think it's worth millions. Really nice guy. And when he said that, I immediately went on defense. I'm thinking, this guy's playing me. This guy's playing me. And anyways, I did buy the property, and I made hundreds of thousands of dollars in 3 weeks. But it wasn't worth millions. But it still was worth hundreds of thousands more than I paid for it. So that's why you should never be nervous about buying a property. It goes back to what I was talking about earlier, your intuition kicking in. When you're starting to feel nervous, it means because you didn't do your homework. It's your mind and body telling you, hey, you haven't really thought this through. You didn't do all your work. You didn't do all your homework. You don't know what you're getting into. And so it's a powerful thing. Now, on the opposite side of that, and I'll play both sides of that because I do play both sides of it all the time, is if you've done your homework and you know, got a strong knowledge base on the real estate that you're investing in, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer when you buy something. Now you still have to judge the market conditions, and you know, are people going to work around me, and you know, are people getting laid off around you? Are people, you know, there's, you know, these layoffs happen, and you know, sometimes, you know, any particular geographic area can be hit way harder than others, you know. And you know, I know Tesla just laid off a bunch of drivers. Well, I don't care. I don't think the drivers make big money. You know, they're sitting in an automated car that's driving around the country. Now, if they lay off, you know, 30,000 people or 10,000 or, you know, 5,000 engineers, then maybe I mean, I would worry. I'd be concerned about the immediate area, because those guys have the $140,000 to $300,000 a year jobs that are buying homes in that $500,000 to $700,000 market, which is what I'm in to selling when it comes to houses. So Hall Limit 3 wrote, it means you live in Southern California and you search for residential houses in South Carolina and you speak to the homeowner directly, which would virtual wholesale for residential houses. Okay, well, now that you put it that way, no, I don't like it. I wouldn't do it. Listen, you're in Southern California. Yeah, one of the most beautiful, you know, pieces of real estate there is Southern California. You know, and you should be making money right where you're at. You don't have to go anywhere else. That's what people don't realize. You don't have to go somewhere else to make money. You know, the money is right under your nose. It's always right nearby. I mean, I make money, you know, 15 whatever, 15 miles circumference around me. That's where I make most of my money, and on real estate. And now, not to say that I haven't gone out of state and bought property and made money that way too, but you can bet that I am going to go directly to the area that I buy. I'm not going to buy it just on paper and news in the area. I want to go down there because you'll find out things from locals that you're not reading in the paper, that you don't see in the news, that's not showing up on the reports that you may be referencing. You got to go to the area itself and, you know, and find out. You know, let me put it this way. Also, you want to look at the people too. And you can go into an area that is extremely poorly educated. You can have a high crime rate. There's all kinds of catch-22s in certain areas, and it's really a good idea to go down there and take a look. Now, I know some people, if you're counting on the government paying their mortgage, you know, there's certainly some opportunities with that, you know, the HUD home stuff, where, you know, you buy up homes and you don't really worry about it too much because, you know, the government's going to pick up the bill. You still want them to take care of your property, but, you know, most people, even if they live like slobs in your house for 10 years, it's not that big a deal. You know, they don't want to lose the home that the government's given to them for free, or that we're paying for, I should say. But you can assess that risk and decide. I personally don't like it. Basically, unless you can't find any deals in where you live, it's not worth virtually wholesaling. Yeah, I would say, yeah, I guess if you can't find anything around you, you got to look elsewhere. I've never had that happen. I'm just telling you. I would say if you can't find any deals around you, you probably don't know how to look for all the deals that are there, because there's always deals. There's always deals. If you don't have my book, get my book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. I can tell you that the thing that leads to making the most deals are things that happen every day, everywhere, somewhere, in every city in the USA, and every city in the world has these problems. And these things, there's always going to be an opportunity in your area, always. I mean, I have never had to actually go somewhere else to make money. I've done it. I kind of did it more for fun than, you know, because of the necessity. But certainly, there's just no reason to chase deals. The money's right here, right where you're at. It's near you, and it's the area you know best too. And so you always want to operate in an area where you have the most advantage. You know, that's your home team advantage. You're there, you can talk to people, you can look at it, you can see the property. So anyways, I'm going to call it a day for now. And but yeah, I'll be getting some other videos out here soon. A couple people have asked me to look at some Chris Crone videos and some Grant Cardone videos. You know, I do think this Grant Cardone Kool-Aid is ridiculous, and the Chris Crone Kool-Aid too. But you know, they're making a fortune. How they do, and I don't think it has to do with making the money on the real estate. I think it has to do with making the money on the consumer. But we'll take a look. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Please comment anything you want me to review or talk about. I'm always happy to do that. Yeah, somebody said Cardone may pay like 3% on your money. Yeah. Like I say, I haven't seen any testimonials where somebody said, "Oh, gee, Grant Cardone made me a millionaire," you know, or Grant Cardone helped me figure it out. And you know, I mean, you know, maybe they said, "Yeah, I worked 10 times harder and I'm more excited," and that's great. And if he can motivate you to work harder at your job, I think that's fantastic. But I wouldn't extrapolate that to, "Gee, Grant Cardone's a great real estate investor." I wouldn't say that about Chris Crone either. But hey, have a great day, everybody. We'll catch you later.